All right, this is Joseph Gancher with Gancher Enterprises with the price tag of leadership, part seven, the key areas that set you apart as a leader. This is going to be a very critical session. So here we are going right into it. And so basically, what we're having here is yes, someone who is basically embarking on their journey, but welcome to responsibility. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an easy route to take. It's going to be probably one of the most difficult ones. Why? Because the responsibility ends of things are going to be a lot more required because as you're going to be given more responsibility, you're going to be having to acquire a lot more of ability in responding to that. Okay. So Winston Churchill once said, the price of greatness is responsibility. There's nothing short of greatness without responsibility. You have to be responsible. With that, we're going to get into other things such as accountability with that. So, increase your ability will take responsibility. This will take action. This type of action is going to be very strategic. It's going to be very difficult. Why? Because you're going to be having to reflect on certain things in your life. For myself, an example, I had a lot of blind spots years ago. I want to say close around a decade ago. I didn't realize, I thought I had everything somewhat in calibrated manner and in a structure where I was able to say, okay, I got this, and that taken care of, and we're going to push forward. Not to only realize that I just got myself kind of straight in the sense of open-minded, clear, focused, and having the ability to seek more, to want to grow, and to wanting to develop. That was not even nearly the foundation that I thought I needed. Basically, what that did was that just cultivated the ground within myself to actually say I'm ready to build my foundation, not to actually have it built, but just have it ready. Be responsible for who you are. Regardless of how we are going to see things, the reality is that over time, we're going to have to look back. So in this illustration right here, there will be a time where you will have to require to look back and say, hey, what have I really done? So how many times have we heard a person, say, how many times could a person hear that the words were not me in a prison or even in a sports team locker room that refused to be held accountable and say, you know what, I really messed up. I actually did do this, or I did do that, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. And that's where it's basically being self-responsible, saying, I'm actually going to take, what is actually justly wrong on my end and say, yeah, I messed up. I let others down. I did things that just wasn't 100% in the best interest of other people. And in turn, taking the easy way out led to the cost of many others. And that's basically what we will very rarely, if ever, hear these days, because people, unfortunately, in this forever, I would have to say, highly paced society, you're seeing these things dramatically drop. Okay. So basically, now in certain industries that I'm in, one in particular right now, you basically just got to show up, put it, and you don't even have to really put in an honest day's work. You just got to show up, have a good attitude. Oh, yeah. And it's just like, really? Like, what the heck has happened? How is this even remotely possible for this? I mean, it was just astronomical. I was out of a certain industry for even like not even a handful of years, and now I'm back into it and I'm really enjoying it. However, the work ethic, determination, dedication has just fallen right through the cracks just in such a short period of time, and I have no idea why. That's just the reality of it. How many times have the words been said in the workplace? I don't know. Or really? Did that happen? I don't know how that happened. And it's astronomical to understand that these are common themes in the workplace. It's just like, how are we supposed to actually move forward? How are we actually supposed to develop any type of substance of a culture in progression? There's just no hope, no chance. So in certain areas of we can say a corporation, AI is going to be removing these types of gaps and saying, you know what, if you're not willing to actually step up and be accountable and say, you know what, yeah, that really did happen, or I actually do know what happened. If these common threads are not actually being said, then what's going to happen is AI is going to be like, you know what, I'll do the accounting, I'll do the case building when it comes to a lawsuit. You see, unfortunately, many people don't actually see things. But I mean, if you have a receptionist, it's going to be very easy to say, okay, you know what, go to here, pick your time slot, which is available. And then through these series of, I would imagine, no more than 4 clicks, you will have an appointment booked. You will have a date and time and location figured out for you, even the type of booking that you're going to have. And I actually do that myself. So I provide that service. So it's just one of those things that I already know what's coming down the pipe because I'm already heavily involved in it. I have my hands in many different things, thankfully, but that doesn't mean that they're all developing at a rapid rate. It is taking time because there's so many of them where I have to continuously plug in and, dial in, and it's a process. So here we are developing and streamlining, but at the same time, that is progress, and it's not regressing, it's just growing. So some progress is better than none. So when you're looking at a big project, even if you had your worst day, I know even for myself, I'm thinking, at least I made it. At least I was able to accomplish one or two big things. And then all of a sudden you notice that things just kind of fall into place in the following day, 2, or even week. Okay. So these responses can be from frontline workers to senior management. It doesn't matter where an individual is placed in an organization. Being responsible, you'll see that will be deflected on many different occasions. So regardless of what happens, understand that this common thread happens in all areas of an organization. And it's actually it's devastating. It's actually breaking apart and dissolving small, medium, and large corporations at a very rapid rate. So to conquer this or to overcome this is to develop a culture of saying, how do we improve? How do we move forward? How do we actually get to that next phase or that step? And then at least you have something to go off of, because if you're able to acknowledge the issue or problem or discrepancy, then at least that's a foundation of a data point or a baseline or starting point of whatever sorts. Then you're moving forward from there. Whereas if there's so much more denial, then it's a decaying matter is basically what it is. And it's just extremely toxic. But you have to be responsible for what you have received. What do you mean be received? You see, in this illustration, it's very simple that you have an individual who has a black suit on and the others have a white suit on. Obviously, we know who's in control and who is responsible and who has been accountable in this situation to hold that accountability there. This is basically an illustration of a dissolving of a company where an individual is saying, I'm walking away from this. So when considering what is at stake these days, considering what is at stake in these days, a few sayings come to mind. Okay, so John D. Rockefeller Jr. said, I believe that every right implies responsibility, every opportunity an obligation, every passion a duty. So regardless of what you're thinking, there's always going to be something else that is going to be required of you, myself, or whoever in order to progress and move forward to whatever is going to be required to move forward to that next phase. Winston Churchill said, it is not enough that we do our best sometimes. We have to do what is required. So on those tough days, just previously mentioned, like I just made it through, but I accomplished one or two things. Those are the days that you've done what is required and you continue to push on forward and having such a great success line coming behind you. Why are certain things able to happen and really, flourish? Because there is that just, I have to do what I have to do in order to push on. And those times can be the toughest, but those also, from my own experience to actually say, have been the most rewarding because it has basically been right at the breaking point and then I break through and a lot of things all of a sudden just fall into place. So with all that being said, next week, we're going to go with the price tag of leadership part 8, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, work hard, stay humble.